Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. I am genuinely so excited to jump into this one with you today, because honestly, we're tackling what is easily the single biggest dilemma organizations are facing right now when it comes to deploying AI, right? Like everybody wants to use AI to get faster and work smarter, we all know that, but the problem is almost everyone is putting it in the exact wrong place.
You see, every single AI implementation I've seen fail had one thing in common. Literally every one. We're talking hundreds of hours of coding down the drain, massive budgets blown, and absolutely zero adoption from the actual team. And you've got to ask, why? Well, it comes down to a fundamental misunderstanding of what AI is actually built to do within a modern workflow.
It all really boils down to this one fantastic insight. They tried to replace the head chef before they automated the dishwasher. Okay, let's dive into this because I promise you this isn't just some clever saying, this is literally the ultimate blueprint for any business leader who actually wants to see a return on those AI investments, without totally alienating their workforce in the process. All right, Section 1, the kitchen AI analogy, mapping roles to decisions.
So to really wrap our heads around how to deploy AI successfully, let's look at an environment we all understand perfectly, a busy restaurant kitchen. We're going to use this as our anchor to map out roles to decision-making levels. Think about that kitchen hierarchy. Right at the base, at step 1, you've got the dishwasher. It's a super vital role, obviously, but it requires zero judgment. It's completely repetitive, high-volume, highly predictable work. Then step 2 is the runner, right? Taking food from the kitchen out to the table on a fixed route. No big decisions there, just execution. Step 3 is your line cook. They're following a known recipe, but maybe they have to adapt slightly if, say, they run out of an ingredient. Move up to step 4 and you've got the sous chef. Now they're coordinating, they're checking quality and escalating exceptions when the pressure is on. And finally, right up at the very top, step 5 is the head chef. The head chef is providing that creative, strategic, and entirely irreplaceable human judgment.
So, the crucial point is this. The higher the role is on this ladder, the more human judgment it requires, right? And therefore, the less AI should own it. The dishwasher needs zero judgment, which makes that task absolutely perfect for automation. The head chef, though, that requires total judgment. Terrible fit for automation. And this is exactly where most companies fail. They go out, they buy some expensive AI tool, and immediately try to replace their head chefs, all while totally ignoring the giant mountain of repetitive, dirty dishes piling up in the corner.
Which brings us to Section 2, the real business parallel, translating the kitchen straight to the office.
Okay, let's translate this kitchen analogy into the real world. Let's walk through an everyday office workflow that, honestly, almost every company on Earth deals with, processing invoices. Imagine a 3-person finance team at a 100-person company, right? And they're processing about 200 invoices a month. When that invoice arrives by email, that right there is your dishwasher task. Boom, we assign that to simple workflow automation. Next, someone has to actually open it up and extract the vendor name, the amount, the date. That's our runner. We can use GenAI for that to pull out those patterns, which saves an actual human the absolute joy of manually copying and pasting numbers all afternoon. Then, we need to match it to a purchase order and check for anomalies. That's the line cook, and that is handled perfectly by an AI agent. But what if there are edge cases or some weird flags pop up? Well, that routes up to our sous chef, an agentic AI working with a human in the loop. And finally, the actual sign-off, the real authority and accountability, that's the head chef. That stays human only, always. And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when you actually get this right. By targeting the correct AI layers to the right tasks, that specific finance team took their processing time from 8 whole minutes per invoice down to just 90 seconds. Think about that. AI handles 80% of the early repetitive steps, and the human is only stepping in to review the exceptions. They basically successfully automated their dishwasher.
All right, moving into Section 3, the 3-level workflow mapping method. This is all about reading before you build.
So how do we actually pull this off in our own organizations? Look, before you write a single line of code, before you buy a single software license, you have got to read your workflow. You read before you build. And it works like this. Level 0, that's your 30,000-foot view. Just asking, what are the major end-to-end stages of what your team actually does? Then, Level 1 zooms in a bit. What's happening inside each of those stages? What are the handoffs between people and different systems? And finally, Level 2 zooms all the way down to the actual desk level. What does a person actually do step by step? What exact actions are they taking? Are they following a super rigid rule, or are they using their own judgment? And listen, it's only right here, at Level 2, that we can finally answer what is actually repetitive and low decision enough for AI to successfully own.
Let me make this incredibly clear, because this is absolutely a rule you should write down. You cannot map AI to a workflow you don't fully understand yet. Period. If you don't know exactly what's happening at level 2, you are literally just guessing. And I can almost guarantee you will try to automate the wrong thing, and you're just going to end up frustrating your entire team in the process. Let's move to section 4 and see how this builds into our next core idea. This is the decision rule, mapping tasks directly to AI layer.
Once you have that level 2 map built out, you need to know exactly which tool to pick. And here is your cheat sheet for mapping your task signal to your AI layer. If a task requires the exact same steps every single time, no branching, you use simple workflow automation. If the task needs to, say, scan text and extract a pattern, grab GenAI. If the path depends on intermediate results, like, checking stock inventory before placing an order, use an AI agent. And if it spans across multiple systems and multiple sessions requiring some longer horizon complex coordination, that's agentic AI. But the very second a task requires true judgment, authority, trust, or accountability, that is human only. Absolutely do not automate that part.
Okay, section 5, the deployment order. This is your action plan.
Now that we've got the theory down for mapping the work and picking the right tool, we need that bottom-up action plan. Here's the checklist. Step 1, map the workflow first, always. Step 2, find the absolute simplest, most repetitive task you can. Step 3, automate that lowest risk layer. Seriously, do not start with some massive multi-agent system. Keep it simple. Step 4, run your new automation in parallel with the human for 2 to 4 weeks just to validate it. Step 5, measure the outcome. Did it actually save time? Did the error rate go down? What about throughput? And step 6, only scale upward after that simpler layer is completely proven. You have to prove the dishwasher works before you go out and buy a robotic line cook.
Bringing us to section 6, the golden rule, which is all about protecting human judgment.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it completely reframes the whole conversation we usually hear around AI replacing human workers. If you only take away one thing from this entire explainer, let it be this. AI is not about replacing the human. Not at all. It is entirely about removing that repetitive, low-value layer so that human judgment is protected. It frees us up to actually focus on the decisions that matter. AI simply fills in the repetitive gaps so humans can own the strategy.
Think about it. The sous chef should be thinking about the dinner menu, not washing dishes in the back. And translating that right back to the office, your finance analyst should be reviewing weird anomalies, figuring out ways to save the company money, and forecasting the future. They should not be copying and pasting invoice numbers from a PDF. It just makes sense. Every single business out there has a dishwasher and a head chef, hidden deep inside their daily operations. Your job, before you even think about building anything, is to figure out which is which. Remember the core thesis here. Map the workflow, find the dishwasher, automate that first. So, I'm going to leave you with a quick question to think about as you go back to your own teams today. What repetitive dishwasher task is hiding in your workflow right now? I absolutely guarantee it's in there, just waiting to be automated so you can get back to being the head chef. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gives you a fresh perspective for your next AI project.